So Metroid Prime is one of my favorite video games ever. It's got a great gameplay style, amazing atmosphere, awesome story and lore, and it's just overall an amazing game. I'm super hyped for the fourth one whenever that comes out, but we all know what happened to that one. However, I cannot say that the soundtrack for Metroid Prime is very good. There's some really weird choices that were made to bring the music down, but I thought it'd be fun to address, so let's get into it. So Metroid in general isn't super well known for its music. Sure, it's got its bangers like Versus Ridley, Lower Brinstar Deaths, and Brinstar. Okay, I know most of those are Brinstar. Anyway, Metroid music doesn't usually have to make its music too awesome because it's mostly ambient stuff. Like, it's just kinda supposed to make it so things aren't silent. However, Metroid and Super Metroid's main themes were composed to be a bit more like actual music because that was the norm of 2D platformers, and because you have to listen to the song for longer periods of time. Metroid Prime's issue is that most of the songs try to do both, and as a result accomplish neither. I'm gonna go through some stuff, talk about what's going on, and then talk about what I would change. First, the instrumentation. Metroid Prime uses a heavy amount of synths in the music. This isn't inherently a bad thing though. In fact, they don't fall into the early 2000s synth craze that was going on. Like bro, Sonic Riders had the fucking craze. Metroid uses the synths pretty well. They have melodies as opposed to arpeggios, there aren't any heavy-handed drums, there's not a ton of unnecessary filters, the synths are good. Where the instrumentation suffers is the synths that are mimicking other instruments. There's this synth choir that Metroid Prime uses in like every other song, and I hate it because it just sounds really bad and is entirely overused. It's in like every song. It even persists to be a main instrument in every single iteration of the game, like up until Metroid Prime 3. There's also this weird synth brass in the Space Pirate battle theme that just sounds kinda odd. I feel like Mario Sunshine had better synths than this game did, but it might just be that the instruments in Mario Sunshine were better suited to being synths, and that the genre didn't require that same kind of feel. I'll give them the credit though. They kinda tried with this game, put a lot of synth instruments up to tasks that were too ambitious for them, and still managed to make them sound better than Star Fox Adventures. So video game music falls into two different categories, ambient music and background music. Ambient music is really relaxed and often goes in and out. Many ambient songs rely on low frequencies, synth pads, sweeping instruments, and sometimes have sound effects. The basic thing you want to keep in mind about ambient music is that it's supposed to be what is the sound this place makes, as opposed to what music does this place have. But the main thing is that they're supposed to be relaxed and laid back. On the other hand, background music, or BGM, is just a sick tune that's supposed to kind of fit the area and make what you're doing seem really cool. Metroid usually follows the background music formula for main areas and the ambient music formula for in-between areas. Here's where the problem lies. Metroid Prime's background music tries to also lean into the ambient music category. This makes all of their alright compositions worse because they don't pack a punch at all, or even carry the tune properly at all. Now before we get into some shitters, let's talk about some good ones. TALLON Overworld version 2? Banger. Nice percussion, not too overbearing, nice melody, nice bass line, overall a super well composed song, and definitely a good one for the hub world. Meta Ridley? Not my favorite Ridley song, that belongs to the Brawl version, but definitely a good song. Nice up-tempo feel that gives the fight some energy. Could be better, but definitely not a bad song at all. Sunken Frigate ORPHEON? Amazing, beautiful melody, perfect for an underwater stage. Easily one of the best tracks in the game. However, nearly every other song in the game has some underlying issue because they don't do any of the same things that these songs do. I'll take you through 3 of the best examples and let you know what their problems are, okay? Here we go. This is the theme of one of the first main areas in the game, the CHOZO Ruins. This song has nothing going on. Where's the melody? Where's the bass line? Where's anything? This song is just drums and random sound effects sometimes. It's full of empty space. And I don't really understand how this passes music when there's nothing here. Now that I pointed it out, you're probably like, huh, yeah, that's a little weird. Because it is! This song has the problem of leaning too hard into the ambience territory, and not leaning hard enough into the BGM territory. You're probably like, well, that just means it's an ambient song. No, it's not! Because it's too upbeat and reliant on these cool synth drums to be ambient. On top of that, we're in main area territory, so there needs to be an actual song, since we're gonna be here for a while. It's like the song wants to be a song, but it's too scared to take the player's focus away. So the beat never really drops, which is terrible because if this song just had a sick bass line, it would pretty much fix the song enough to where it's fine. So here's the song that plays when you fight space pirates. Alright, listen guys, I'm a pretty experienced musician, alright? I'm pretty good. But this song sounds like it was made by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, first things first, I can't even tell what key this song is in. It sounds like they took pieces of very different unfinished songs and put them in. The song's broken up into two parts, and the first part is just this really weak percussion and like one synth. And I'm like, what? Where's the rest of the song? It's like there's almost a melody, but there's no context to it. There's no support, so it's really empty. And then the second part, where the real melody comes in, has like the weird synth brass that I mentioned earlier, and it's better, but there's no change to the weak percussion, and still not really any background. It's almost like the synth brass was supposed to be the background, but like to a different song, you know? Like, bro, this is the music for fighting what is essentially one of the most threatening basic enemies in the game. They're so threatening that they have their own battle theme. Why is it so fucking weak and bad? This is the time where they could go all out and pull out a hype-ass battle song, and you get this. Oh, damn. It doesn't even get better with the later games, bro. God damn. Anyway, this song has pretty much the same problem as the last song, where it's supposed to be BGM, but it's trying extremely hard to also be ambient, and it's doing so poorly. I'll go over what to do to make it better, but let's move on to example 3. So here's the song that plays when you fight a CHOZO ghost. Okay, this song is technically better than the Space Pirate song, in that it's extremely hype, and it's good for a chaotic battle against the enemy. It's got the drums, and it's got the chaos that we need. But where it goes wrong is that it's got a lot of weird bullshit going on. Like, what is this chaotic synth line going on, and why is it almost just as loud as the melody? What the fuck is going on? The problem is that the song just has a lot of bullshit going on in the wrong places. There's a lot of synths that just sound the same, doing a lot of different things. And on top of that, the bass line is kinda non-existent. This song definitely falls into the category of BGM, just like the TALLON Overworld 2 song does. But unlike the TALLON Overworld song, this song is trying to do too much and suffers for it. This song's not exactly a bad song. I'd even say that it's kind of fitting, but fitting doesn't mean it's good. And it makes me think that the people who composed it and the rest of the soundtrack were not exactly the best at this genre or style of music. So to summarize, the problem with Metroid Prime's soundtrack is that most of the BGMs are composed like half BGMs, and the whole BGMs have weird extra things going on, like there's too much happening, making it chaotic. I can't exactly change the past, but if I were to take Metroid Prime's music and make it better, I would take inspiration from two major sources. The first source being Doom 2016. This game's got really good music and sound design, and Doom does this thing where all the pumped up actiony fight songs have these sections where the music calms down to some of its bare segments. Sometimes it's just sweeping synths, or if maybe you're still in battle but not near any bad guys, it's still got a kick and bass, but like only the kick and bass, you know? With maybe some lead synth flourishes. In addition, Doom also had ambient tracks. and these tracks weren't afraid to be loud. However, they focused on adding to the feel of the scene and not be sound effects. It was still music, just calm music, with clear rises and falls and instruments. It'd be sick if Metroid Prime in the future took more influence from Doom in this regard. Maybe there's some in-between segments that use calmer portions of the main themes, or focus a little less on sound effects in their ambient themes, and more on sweeping synths and relaxed or no percussion. Sound effects are not meant to take center stage in songs. They're sound effects for a reason. Also, Metroid Prime does not know how to build hype for action-packed situations. I'd focus less on chaotic melodies and more on hard-hitting bassy synths with more relaxed melody lines. In addition, songs with multiple intensity levels are amazing additions to video games, and it makes everything feel more natural and hype when a song builds and diminishes with what a player is doing. The Space Pirate theme already kinda does that, but it only has a really long, soft intro, and then the actual song comes in, which, as you know, isn't very good. It'd be sick if maybe there was a version for you fighting them, and then a version for you disengaging after fighting them, or a version for a specific enemy number threshold. You know, like maybe there's a calmer version for 2 Space Pirates, but after the 3 or more, there's an even more chaotic version. You know? This is all with a caveat that the song be recomposed to be a bit more like Doom, or at least stronger sounding than this really weak song we have now. The second thing I would take inspiration from is EPITASIS, or EPITASIS, whatever. The game title's on screen, alright? Now, I actually haven't played this game, admittedly, but I have followed the artist behind the game's soundtrack for a while. He goes by Funk Fiction, and he's done quite a bit of amazing music, but in this game, he really got to flex his ambient strength. Lord. See, one thing I always thought was strange was that the ambient tracks in Metroid Prime sounded more like short looping pieces of songs filled mostly by empty space and random sound effects. Never did the ambient music serve to really add a tone to the scene, more than it served to add fake noises to the background. If Metroid Prime's ambient tracks were to focus more on being music, then I would want it to go the route of EPITASIS, where the calm music isn't afraid to be music, and uses the instruments to enhance the scene, as opposed to fill it with empty space and false environmental noises. Imagine if you landed in the CHOZO ruins and were greeted with this. Like, it's just better, right? Ironically, in dropping the empty space, the player then finds room to feel what's going on in the environment, and you didn't need weird sound effects to do it. Also, buy EPITASIS to give those people money. They fucking deserve it, because their presentation and their sound design is top-notch, and I love it. In the end, Metroid's music probably doesn't really have to be good because of the excuse that it's being ambient. I'm willing to believe that especially around the time of Metroid Prime's release, that this was their genuine attempt at making the game as ambient and kind of lonely sounding as possible. And the composers are definitely improved over the years, seeing as they also made the soundtrack for Metroid Samus Returns, and that game's music sounds awesome. Metroid Prime is still one of my favorite games, and I hope that in light of these 2 recent games, Doom and EPITASIS, that Nintendo and Retro Studios takes inspiration and builds an amazing soundtrack for Metroid Prime 4. That's the end of the video. If you like what you saw, please leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to see more. I know uploads have been real slow, but I'm running low on inspiration, and college is hard, so please bear with me. I make music remixes and a few originals, so look out for those. Without further ado, see you guys later, and as usual, have yourselves a damn good one.